Good morning. So everyone could hear me okay? Okay. Um, um, this morning, um, I was trying to prepare for my talk, and of course, many things come up. Let's see, thank you. And instead of preparing for my talk, I went outside and I started to kind of procrastinate, and I started to sweep the front porch of our house, and uh, I noticed then some weeds in front of our house, so I started to pick the weeds, started to pick them, and I was saying like they shouldn't be here, the weeds shouldn't be here. And when I was picking them, then I looked up and then saw more in front of our house, and then I saw a complete field, and then I looked at the mountain, and then the mountain, uh, the weeds of course changed color, and then I saw the entire landscape of Sonoma Mountain. And and that's how life is a lot of times uh, when we tend to kind of stop. And I think when I started to reflect when I was younger, how I started my path, and how to practice. Um, this is about 30 years ago. Of course, I was sitting on my own, and I would sit every day before I went to work, and what I remember what I remember is that I had a lot of like a strength, and I felt like my resolve um, to seek this way uh, was very deep, and so I had a lot of energy to find out what it was, or what it is, or what the truth is, or what to try to understand Zen, to try to understand also um, uh, me being the son uh, uh, of a Zen priest, of a Zen master, to kind of understand uh, what 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 does this all mean. It's like an understanding. So the understanding was I was, you would say, cause I was on fire to like get it, to get it and to obtain it. Everything that I did, like I sat zazen, and I read books, and then thought about how the Buddha's everywhere, And that was my field. The Buddha was everywhere. But this understanding, of course, it's a good understanding, but it's an understanding of trying to understand or have a concept of what the Buddhist path is, or how do you walk the Buddha's way? Like it's outside, and it's something that we seek at the beginning. But it's this way of seeking that is trying to obtain. It's trying to obtain, or trying to actually is trying to take, or is trying to steal something that is already there and already so close. But we look so far away from it, because we see it a certain way. So we move ourselves in this direction to try to understand it. But the farther, or the more that we move, the farther that it seems that it is. So I had this idea that, boy, you know, you would say, I'm really full of it. That's an interesting one. I'm really full of it. The Dharma it's filled up in me, you know, and I feel good. Even when, so I would practice before going into work. And it was interesting. It felt like I was putting on an armor. That's what I remember. It felt like I was putting on armor. So it felt like that was enough that I needed. And so when my life was good, then I wouldn't need to do it, because I already had it, and I was already full of it. So why would I need to do it when I knew and understood it, like completely? But of course, then what usually happens then is that people start to or we think, or I think, that life is good, so you don't need it, you know. So then it kind of slides to the back burner, you would say. So I moved out. I did actually a retreat then with my father, and I flew to Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, and then there was a retreat, a session, which is a meditation intensive. And so, you know, I was reading these books, and I went there, and it was great. You know, it was great. It was my birthday. I remember it was my birthday, and so after the session, I didn't know any of the forms, but I understood something that was great, and it was really deep, and it sat very close with me. So of course, before going back, my father was going to take a plane, and this was in the morning. So we met at a coffee shop, and you know, we sat down and ordered coffee, and it was my birthday. So what happened is I said, I want to do this. This is like, I know this is it. But then I told him that I I want to be a normal person. I don't want to be like, to be this religious, like a religious person. And I don't want to be in the confines of this, of being like being a Buddhist. And he said, that's fine. That's fine. I said, see the person across from us that's eating, and eating his cake. And I did say this too. I said, uh, I want to eat. I want to eat the cake the same way as the person across from us. I don't want to think that there's this big way. And he said, you could actually have your cake and eat it too, you know. And so yeah, at the beginning, then of course, as I practice more and more, then I realize that the teachings, and especially right now, the teachings are so great that it's inconceivable, and also it's boundless, and there is actually no end. So you walk, but then you go deeper and deeper and deeper. But then how much deeper can you go? That's an interesting question that we should all ask ourselves, is how deep can we go, or how infinite in this life that we could go. I was thinking, and I was reflecting on the time when I was training at Aheiji. It was I was assigned at Aheiji, doing the great bancho, and it's this huge bell that so someone has to ring in the morning. So they said, Nyoze, you do this. It's all in Japanese. They're trying to describe what I do. And it was cold. It was I think October or November, and it didn't start to snow yet. So uh, it started to get colder, and and I thought, oh, this is fine. This is okay. It started to get colder. It started to get colder. It started to get really cold. Like, then our fingers were cracking because it got so cold, and our feet, the heels, they were cracking. And so we started to bleed, and we had to tape our fingers and our feet, and it got colder and colder. And I said, this is okay, I can do it. And it got so cold to where when we wiped the halls with the regs, actually the water on the floor, it would turn to ice. And then it started to snow. And then how deep can you go? And after a while, I forgot about how cold it was. So um I think this how deep can you go? um there's a it's unattainable, but at the same time, how deep can you go? You stop, and there's a point that you stop, or there's a pause. And when you pause, you actually return to something when you let go of everything, you pause and you come back to something that is great, right where you are. So so I was thinking about um, this pausing is letting the moment actually be the moment, or the arising of what is happening. Um, so and I was reflecting on this by actually when Kashin did the ordinary beauty, to see what is it to see. Like this morning is what is it to see, and to see something, but to really see it and to really be with it. This is this stop. This is the zazen. This is the zazen that we do. We stop and sit down and we pause. So to see things, or to see the mountain in front of me, we usually put we put our stamp on everything that we see. That's a light, so we know that light is it's good or it's bad, or it's I put my stamp on here. It's too cold in here. The weather is nice outside. That's a stamp. Or I can take this. This is cold, or this is good. This is good enough. That's a stamp. But when we pause and we let things be, then there's a spaciousness that starts to something starts to happen, in which when I see the mountain, you let the mountain be, and then something arises. That's it's subtle, or it's quiet, and it turns into something that's it's a quietness, or it's a joy. It's a joy that happens, or it's a relationship that happens. It's an interconnectedness that one feels within this pausing. So it's a softness. It's a softness that happens in oneself, that we receive then things around us, not just like look off the front porch and then pick this weed out, pick the weed out. But we look, and then we realize that the world is infinite. It's infinite. It's farther than what our eyes can see, than our limited view of what we can see. So there's a line in the Genjo Koan that says, when the truth fills our body and mind, we think that something is missing. And that's an interesting one, that something is missing. Like so this something is missing, is it's a loss, or it's a something is missing, is you could say it's letting go of our conditioned self. But again, then it is our conditioned self, or our I, that actually that encourages us, or it wants to uh, this this I, or this yeah, this I that wants to seek and it wants to fill is it leads us at the same time. It leads us. So I have a story about what is this, something missing. So a while ago, um, this is a while back. I remember, so morning zazen, we do meditation in the Zendo, and Kashin and I live up the street from the Zendo. So in the morning, I walk down to the Zendo, and I think it was even raining, and had the umbrella, put a hat on, and I used to change and in the hall next to the Zendo. So I put on my robes in the hall and took off my hat. Then after sitting, sitting ended, came out, and then I was putting on back my clothes and my jacket, and then I couldn't find my hat, and I thought I brought my hat down, and I was looking in the hallway where my hat was, and so I couldn't find it, and so I said, "Oh, it must be on the street. I must have dropped it or something." So, I didn't drop it. I went up to the house. I looked all through my room. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at all. And I was thinking of like if only I had it, everything would be better. If only I had it, and it did feel like something was missing, and I was incomplete without it. So I looked everywhere, and even I asked all the residents. I think I even brought it up in a resident meeting. Did someone see my hat? And then I even thought about maybe someone stole it. So after like I think 3 days of looking for it, 3 days of looking for it, it was on a Sunday. I was laying in bed, and of course I let it go, you know, and I was laying in bed, and I was just totally relaxed. The sun the sun shined in through the window, and then on my jacket sleeve, and inside of my jacket was my hat, and it was lodged in the sleeve of my jacket, and I would put it on every day, and that something that was missing was always with me. So it's interesting about uh, going back uh, to something. So what is that something that is missing, is that we feel, through our search, we feel incomplete. We feel incomplete, and we strive, or we seek for this completeness. And so it's an interesting one, this incompleteness of completeness that is already here. So this something missing is that when we open the hand of thought, or when we let go, then the 10,000 things, or everything in all things, then they advance. And you let them in. So this is it's a very, very interesting one, but we feel always that there's this incompleteness, or this, it's kind of a dissatisfaction. But this dissatisfaction or this incompleteness actually pushes us to actually continue for the continuous practice. So this is actually the path of practicing. Then so we we when we return to this, when we pause and when we return to this moment, we actually realize the wisdom of all things is realized as we experience our ignorance. So it's our ignorance, or it's our limited being in this body, where we are finite, or we're limited. Our eyes are limited, how we see things. But when we come back to this, the ground of being right here and right now, of who we are and what is actually in front of us, then we feel this infinite, this eternal moment. It's an eternal moment that we actually feel. So it's actually the spaciousness, and it's all things that we feel at the same time we are deluded. So yeah, it's the path is just it's just great. The more and more I read, I try to understand as I was as a child. I try to sit with everybody here, but I start to realize that it's infinite. It's infinite in size, and that's what's so wonderful about this practice, that I cannot even put words to. And so uh, so that, yeah, it's interesting about what is this that's missing, you know. Um, I think yeah, this is I wanted to say something about too, about when we see things. This is going back to putting our the way we look at things, or the way we see things. We again, like I was saying, in the beginning, when the truth, or when you are not, when when the truth does not fill your body and mind, then you are full. It's because we look at everything again with this stamp, and the stamp of when we look at something, or when we do something, when we pick up like this cup, it's with an aggression of taking, but when we don't stamp, then things start to, there's a wonderful dance that happens, and anyways, I think I uh should stop there, but I was for a while I've been kind of wrestling on this. What does this missing mean?